Flight boss, bitch. For sure. You're not listening to the Mind of an Terry's Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, we're going to talk about emotional abuse. Because everybody have been through emotional abuse, whether it's from another individual, or whether it's from a circumstance or a situation you have placed yourself in, or you just straight up beating up yourself as a spirit. Now, when I say beating up yourself, these are your creations, your thoughts, and your feelings. And for the most part, this is your vehicle, your chakras, your spaceship. And if you have a weak phoenix or a weak ego, then you can allow any other spirit to cast a stone, throw a sword, or do anything to hit that phoenix and ego and make it turn into motherfucking ashes. So you need to develop a sufficient enough spaceship so you can travel through this astral travel. You see what I'm saying? AKA experiences that we go through without you getting hit and going off chaotic into the astral realm, running into all these motherfucking asteroids, AKA trials and tribulations and catastrophic moments within your motherfucking life. So for the most part, we all dealt with emotional abuse. Now, we're going to get into a few ways of how you can understand that you're going through that at the moment. Now, emotional abuse can come in a way like you're beating up your motherfucking self. Now, when you beating up yourself, a lot of times this is when you have placed yourself into a situation that you didn't necessarily mean to, and for the most part, based upon what that position represent, you no longer want to be seen in that light, or you start to feel guilty, or you start to feel like you might need to redirect your actions in some way, shape, or form because of how other spirits that's in that space may perceive your position in that space. So for the most part, you might start to recorrelate or redirect your actions in certain ways, shapes, and forms that the external world may not be privy to. AKA, this is you internally going through minor versions of internal abuse or emotional abuse. Now, for the most part, like I said, emotional abuse, these words got a lot of baggage on it based upon this bastard ass language that we're utilizing. But when you think about abuse, this is just you as a spirit beating up on a thought form or a feeling and an emotion. And if these thought forms and feelings and emotions are your esoteric spaceship, your chakras, you see what I'm saying, your Adams and Eves, your masculines and feminines, right? Then for the most part, this is your ability to feel within the realm of reality that you are in as a field. And therefore, you could derive organs to be more dense and expire at a much later date to be able to experience those feelings in real life or materialize via person, place, or thing, circumstance, or situation in your life. So for the most part, like I said, when you beating up on certain thoughts and beating up on certain feelings that you didn't necessarily mean to have, aka they may have looked as sweet at the beginning. It may have looked like a place, a thing, an individual, something you have wanted to jump into because it looked like something that you have want or needed. Always remember this: you'll never get what you want or need, but you will always get what you deserve. And if motherfucker you getting what you want and you need, and motherfucker it look like something that you deserve, then you're on the right frequency vibration. Now, if you're not getting what you want or you need, and you feel like you don't deserve what you're getting at the moment, then for the most part, you have been riding the wrong frequency vibration and have been led and following demonic spirits, whether you think these spirits was good or not. And that's a whole separate video. You see what I'm saying? But for the most part, getting back into the energy of emotionally beating up yourself and things of that nature. Now, you may have created a thought or a feeling. That spaceship may have been in a position that you no longer look at anymore like how it was at the beginning. So for the most part, you no longer want to put gas in that area. You no longer want to fly it in that position. This could be a job, this could be a circumstance, this could be a situation. We got a lot of us got best friends and things of that nature. We may have opened our mouth too fast, aka you put your foot in your mouth, and therefore now you got to hold up obligations that you no longer feel like you want to be responsible for weeks or months down the line. So for the most part, it's always good to have foreknowledge and not just that 3-point. Know how to bend that triangle form of light so you can have 4 points, so you can understand foreknowledge, so you don't jump into something that you don't necessarily feel like you want to be in forever. Because a lot of times something that you don't want look like something you have wanted at the jump, and therefore that's when you jump the gun, jump off the bridge, and then it ain't no trampoline at the bottom, and then you break all your ankles, and now it take a whole long lifetime to get your ass back up at the top of the mountain. But that's a whole nother motherfucking video. So when you want to put yourself into a situation when you are emotionally scarred or you are emotionally going through abuse, you want to make sure that you're not in a position that you put yourself in that place and now you're beating up yourself. Now, we have another aspect of it when you get go through emotional abuse. And this is one that's so often common for everybody, especially people who are in relationships, people who are married, people who are obligated to circumstances, people who are in gangs, people who are in jail, and things of that nature. Here's when you get put into a situation where you are experiencing emotional abuse from external references, aka people, places, and things that's outside of you. Now, you could be in a relationship where the relationship may have started in a situation where it was balanced, everything was fair, but the level of fairness was just good for that time, that stage, that phase that y'all was going through. And based upon us going through different transits, different days, different experiences, time moving on, the percentage level move, the seesaw level shake, the water ruffle a little bit. So for the most part, that means new things have to be compromised, new things have to be situated, new things has to be open, other things have to be closed. So when you're in a situation of participating what was once seen as balance to start the relationship, things, it may take a little more to create balance, or it may take a little more to create sustainability, or it may take a little more working on that table before it become a shaky table, and then there's no foundation for any form of relationship for everybody to eat at that table. So for the most part, once you get into these times and things of that nature, you might be in a relationship with an individual who might not see it that way. They may see it as a form of comfortability and familiarity, and the moment that your monkey ass get up and start trying to change, whether emotionally, mentally, or physically, then that's when they're going to start to get offended, like something's wrong with you, not knowing that we're in a new time, new phase, or there's a new spark that needs to be had in order for this balance to be recreated, because there's a new experience right now. And if you're around an individual who may not understand these type of things, you might manifest an individual that start taking you for granted, start taking advantage, start taking your kindness for weakness. And therefore, if the situation represents so much familiarity, so much comfortability, let's say you have a lot of kids, let's say y'all been married for a lot of years, let's say y'all have a lot of obligations, a lot of stipulations together, that for the most part, any form of separation will be kind of like the last thought form or idea. Then guess what's going to happen? If you are the bigger spirit on this relationship, it's going to float to nowhere, because you're going to find yourself having to drive the relationship, drive that boat more, aka when it's your time to rest, that individual is still thinking that they was taking turns like y'all was last month, 10 months ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But for the most part, y'all in a new stage where, you know, time is going up. You might need to rest more. You might got other disabilities, you might got other incapabilities, and this individual might not be willing to take the steering wheel in a new type of way, because they think that it's still common to take the steering wheel in a way that started the relationship, however far along that y'all are. And then therefore, here's where you're going to start to get led into being emotionally abused, because you not only is you going to be beating up yourself, but you're going to be allowing this person to beat you up based upon these guilt trips that they throw you down to make you feel like you have no business switching up, you have no business coming up with different ideas, you have no business coming up with different feelings and emotions about the circumstance or situation, even if you see the relationship could be in a better circumstance. You see what I'm saying? When you're around a motherfucker that might be too stable-minded or too fixated or too stuck, for the most part, you're going to be the only one driving the ship. And if you're the only one driving the ship, what's going to happen when you go to sleep on the goddamn river? Now, if ain't no, now you gonna be asleep, and then you with another motherfucker who can't even see the light. Now, if Jesus was to decide to walk on motherfucking water and give anybody a sense of direction, ain't nobody gonna see it, because you've been driving a relationship so long, and the other individual didn't even know it was their turn to drive it at these times, because they still think that it's good to drive it how they been driving it. So for the most part, they motherfucking slacking, and then the boat ain't gonna go nowhere but off the motherfucking cliff onto no promised land. So then, for the most part, you find yourself, whether you're still in a relationship or not, beating yourself up, and that leads to emotional abuse, because therefore you're allowing this individual, or this lack of an individual, to throw off ideas and feelings like everything have crashed because of you. Everything is on your back. Everything was on your axis. You see what I'm saying? And then for the most part, once your axis get misaligned, now you got to beat up yourself like you should have known better or something like that, where you need to know it takes two. So for the most part, this is where you could put yourself into a situation where you allow other individuals to make you emotionally abused, or you allow another spirit to emotionally abuse you, aka you let a spirit come around and start beating up your thoughts and feelings, start throwing asteroids at your spaceship, make your spaceship redirect and fly in different directions and feel highly uncomfortable in a position that it was previously in. And for the most part, you got to start to chalk things up why you was even comfortable in that position in the first place, aka you either didn't have foresight, or it was something that you wanted or you needed, but you didn't motherfucker deserve it. And I repeat, you'll never get what you want or need, and you will always get what you motherfucker deserve. You see what I'm saying? That's all you're going to get. So for the most part, you're going to have to be careful what you want and you need, because that's why a lot of y'all make a lot of mistakes. You can't you get confused between what you want and what you need, and a lot of times what you need just be something that you want, and what you want you be thinking is something that you need, and you really ain't need neither one of those motherfuckers. And that's when it manifests into a situation that you only gonna get what you deserve, aka a heartbreak, a trial or tribulation, a circumstance or a situation to put your spirit back into a space where you need to understand how to develop things from an individual point of reference, a point of view. And that's going to be the only way any kind of God, any kind of ancestor that got any kind of clairvoyance and wisdom can come to you. Otherwise, you're going to be following spirits out here that's lost in knowledge. Now, knowledge is it's a forever falling ledge. You know what I'm saying? Once you go off that ledge, it's endless. But it's endless, and they all look like wants and needs. You know what I'm saying? Once a lie start, it don't stop. So they all look sweet. They all look like something to eat. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, when you going to realize that your eyes might be a little bigger than your motherfucking stomach. So when you going to realize that sometimes you need to find a ledge. When you going to realize that sometimes wisdom might be a little bit more important than knowledge, because wisdom allows you to rise and find a motherfucking high horse on a motherfucking ledge, so your ass don't end up mistaken and be falling forever in somebody's abyss. And when you say somebody else's abyss, yeah, that's somebody else's abyss, someone else's darkness, someone else's lostness. And if you give too much of yourself to another individual based upon the lostness that they're in, you ain't in nothing else but a circumstance of the blind leading the motherfucking blind. And you ain't got no business even blaming nobody else. And you need to take spiritual responsibility, because that's when you in a situation, once again, full circle, of you emotionally abusing your goddamn self. So, things go a little stretch. You could blame it on individuals a little bit based upon the other context that I put it in, but it's always going to come a 360 and full circle to the point that you need to take full spiritual responsibility. And that's what the spirit always going to do. Otherwise, you always going to miss the mark. You always going to miss the circle. You always going to miss the point that you originated from in that 360. And every time you miss a point, that's a sin. You see what I'm saying? Because you descended in an area you didn't previously start at. So you descended and then arisen or horizon again with new ideas and feelings in an area you don't even belong at, in a new area. Now you're dirtying up things, dirtying up yourself, unpurifying your thoughts and feelings in the directions that you need to go, and the imagination and creations and manifestations that you want to manifest ain't gonna be able to manifest, because it's gonna lack your imagination. It's gonna have the accumulation of the world's imagination, and goddamn it, that's limited. Because every time I look at the world, it just look like a bunch of shit that we can't do, and I don't work in that energy. And I love y'all, and make sure you ain't going through no emotional abuse. And this is just part one, because there's always gonna be a part two. Goddamn, especially when we get into y'all goddamn in jail and y'all marriages in this motherfucker. But we kept it light right now. Flight boss, bitch, goddamn air. You're now listening to the bottom of the Terry's Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. Love y'all. Shout out to the subconscious community.